We're on. All right, so warning. Sorry, mate, you go.
No, that's right.
I was just going to say a warning for this. If I'm going to have to jump out, there's a fucking little whippet in a cage behind me. And he's already torn the house apart. And if he starts barking, because I may have roused on him. So I came home and there was fucking shit everywhere. And my thongs had been chewed in half. And I love dogs. So he'll probably start barking in a minute and then I have to put him outside. But after that, we'll be good. All right. Tell me a story, Max. What are we talking about today?
Well, we were just trying to figure out how to do over-the-air podcasting during COVID. I don't know if this new style is going to work or not. Seems pretty good.
Only took us to the end of COVID to figure it out.
Mate, everyone does these, but people do podcasts like this as normal. Like until you get like fuck you money like Joe Rogan, everybody just does Skype podcasts. So I think we just got a little bit excited when we were moving around trying to get people live in studios that we didn't have. But this works. You just need to get an $80 camera from Amazon.
No, I think we'll keep the resolution as low res on mine as possible. You get more return viewers.
Nah, it's got to be sexy.
Yeah, I think after going through all that research for this TMP stuff, doing nutrition and gut bacteria is something that's probably, I didn't know how quite the role, you sort of pay it off, don't you? But I didn't quite know the role that bacteria in your gut biome has on your body. So.
Well, that's what we need to fucking start telling people. I mean, what was the last podcast we did?
Tristan Rose.
That was Cobes and Tristan. So it's been a while. Mm-hmm. That was pre-Stomp. Yeah, I don't really want to go into an update on where we're at with all that because that's like another 4 weeks, I think. Another 3 or 4 weeks and we'll start letting people know where we're at with the app getting super sexy. And then the TMP. Does everyone, what's it say? What's a TMP?
Training management package. So like in the Army, they do, it's sort of a layout for how to instruct and stuff like that. And then inside it's got lessons. So to do all the research for that, we sort of divvied up the team in our areas of expertise about where people can research and look at. We're doing knowledge broking is what we're sort of aiming to do, and nutrition is the area that I sort of fell into. So let's see if we can impart some knowledge.
So drop some on me, mate, because you've rang me 3 times in the last 2 weeks, late at night. Super excited with a new zinger. So I'm sure you got plenty more. I want to hear all of them. Because this, I mean, so the reason why I got super excited about this is because when I left the Army and started Fit and Fresh and that, I just researched nutrition for years. And it was just all, like everything you look at, especially when I started talking to dietitians and stuff, it was just all macros. There's a little bit of micronutrient stuff coming out, and then everyone's just looking at how to balance macros so you get skinny. And that's not, by the sounds of it, not 100% correct, or it's not where you should be focusing your energy anyway. So what have you found?
No. It goes back. Most of the research for your gut biome, for microbiota, for actually mapping all the bugs that are in your stomach. So we talk about the biome, the microbiome, which is everything on your skin, in your body, in your face, all these different places. That's the biome. And when we talk about a biota, that is a specific area of the body. So your skin microbiota would refer only to all the microorganisms living on your skin, those that are beneficial and that aren't. When we talk about the gut microbiota, we're talking about all of the stuff that's living in your stomach. And up until about 1908, about the 19th century, there was a pretty famous Russian scientist. What was his fucking name? And up until then, they sort of thought that, Keegan, do you want to?
Yeah, get Keegan. Give Keegan a fucking job, mate. Start Googling Russian gut biome, 90 something. Hey, are your big spider fingers going to be coming up in the video?
Yeah.
Because when you Google
Nah,
stuff, it looks
those
like
bad
this.
boys out. Yeah, no. Cameras on the bottom. It's fucking outrageous.
$80
Eli,
at
is it
Amazon.
Eli?
That's the one. Yeah, Eli. What's his last name?
Something Metchnikoff, Russian.
Yeah.
Spell it out.
That's a good bloke. So up until then, they were sort of like saying, "Oh, the stomach's just this big cauldron of acid that just whatever you put in there, it's just a noxious pit, and you put it in there, it dissolves it, and then you shit it out." And what they did was people who had stomach upsets, they just went in there and just chopped out parts of your intestines. So I think this is all going pretty well. And then he sort of started studying that there was actual beneficial bacteria that helped you live longer or do certain things. And he started studying some of the countries out in like Bulgaria and shit like that. And they said that they do like a fermented milk, and their life expectancy was exponentially greater than most people living in modern, so like France, Europe, or the actual more modern, more civilized places. And I mean, effectively, he did his own experiments on himself, and he did it with the first experiment he did on himself was, fuck, you better get busy typing, Keegan, and I'll give you heaps of. What are those? What are those famous? What's those real common diseases? I know, he's killing everyone back in the day, mate. So he decided to eat a big broth of it. His wife died, right? So he's like, I'm going to commit suicide, and he drank a big broth of this fucking suicide drink, and it didn't kill him.
What era are we talking about?
1900s. He was
People
living
back
in.
then? Everything.
Oh, bloody. We've got to fire the typer, mate.
Anyway, he drinks his shit to try and get himself sick.
And he didn't get sick.
Himself.
Yeah.
So he fucked
didn't
up.
Get sick. So then he was like, oh, let's do some study on it.
He tried to suicide by plague. That's a terrible way to go, mate.
Well, it was pretty. The disease he drank was actually pretty. It's deadly, and up until then he didn't get sick. And then so he's like, oh, so he gave it to his mate as well. They were going to study it, so he gave it to his mate as well. He didn't get sick, so like, oh, this is pretty cool. Third dude they got in, they're like, hey man, we're pretty interesting. They gave it to him, and he got like violently ill, hospitalized, and nearly died. Typhoid. I think it was typhoid.
Typhoid. So he's like, cheers. He gave me typhoid. And now he died.
And he didn't die.
Oh, he didn't die? The third guy?
No.
All right, so what do we prove? What did he prove?
Your gut microbiota can actually protect you from stuff, or it can be detrimental to you. Stuff is going to grow inside your stomach, your intestines, or your GI tract. It's just up to us to figure out what we want to grow in there. So most of the bad bacteria, like E. coli, candida, like all these different bacterias, they will grow. It's not a vacuum of space. It's going to grow no matter what. And we just got to pick what we do. So sauerkraut and a lot of other bacterias, they actually outcompete other bad bacteria that grow in like plague proportions in your stomach. Simply by the fact that they can cling to the mucosal layer in your stomach better, as opposed to E. coli being in there. So if you do get sick, it's got nowhere to grow. It's like when you weed a garden or you cut all the trees down. The first things to grow, because it's an empty space. The first things to grow is like grass, weeds, or whatever, and then all you got to do is keep this all chopped down and actually regrow what you want to grow in there. So colonics and stuff.
Shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, go on with colonics, good or bad?
I don't know, man. there's a couple of leading scientists that did some studies, and they said colonics are kind of actually bad because unless you're a giant, overweight, unhealthy person, so whatever, it's actually could be bad for you because you're washing all of the guts, all of your microbiota out and damaging the mucosal layer and the lining.
Oh, mate, good timing. Swebsy booked me in for one this weekend. I might have to cancel it.
I mean, and this is the thing, right? So we don't know the effects that it has on your body, but there's particular strains of bacteria that they've isolated that either they're literally anti-obesity bacteria. I think acidophilus, L bacteria acidophilus. That's what some of them have got literally. They got 2 mice in a completely sterile rooms. They bred both of them. They gave one of them the intestinal juices or bacteria or flora of an unhealthy person, but they also gave them this bacteria. And in the other one, they gave it nothing. They just gave them the stomach juice, like of a stomach intestinal flora of a fat person. One mouse got fat, or one mouse didn't. And same food, exactly the same food.
Yeah, right. And I'm guessing, so which one got fat? The one with the fat one's gut?
The one with the fat one's stomach, but with no bacterial support, mate. And the thing people have to worry about is there's 2 real problems with bacteria from shops is have they isolated the correct strain? So there are 35,000 different cells in the microbiota that make up all the bacteria in your stomach. It's about between 1 kilo and 3.5 kilos of bacteria, viruses, helminths that make up your stomach GI tract, 1 to 4 kilos. Of that, there could be 35,000, 40,000 different strains of bacteria that's in your stomach. And then within those strains, there's different. Within those strains, there's kind of like different subspecies of bacteria that do different things. So if you say, "Oh, we've got L-Bacteria plantarum or whatever it is," and then they go, "Yeah, we've got that too," but it's different strains of that they've isolated that have got positive effects and don't. But generally speaking,
so as this shit becomes more mainstream, someone's going to find a way to market a name of bacteria because they're like, "Oh, that's the one that people have heard of. Let's just stick that stick on it." And really, they've already done it.
Yeah. So Inner Health Plus do it. Inner Health Plus do it with. I think they have acidophilus as one of their main, and then bifidobacterium, or I don't know, whatever. And then after that, there'll be a particular strain that they've isolated that they think has positive effects. The European Union has said that probiotics as a term are beneficial, proven bacteria that actually have an effect on human wellness. And so they don't allow any food products in Europe to call their stuff probiotics. You just have to say it's got bacteria in it because there's so many different strains that they're just like, no, because you're all going to fuck it and say, "Oh, no, we've all got this beneficial bacteria. We've got probiotics in ours." Yes, that's what left-leaning latte sipping people that just want to make up their own kombucha, you kind of have to be real careful where you're getting it from.
And there's no governing body. There's no way to test it. Yeah, so this is the shit part because we've got, obviously, none of us are super scientists. Can you even trust super scientists anymore?
Well, the research in this is
sorry, go.
The research in this is about 5 years old, mate. It's literal studies from this, as old as 5 years. It goes. This scientist in 1908, and he's like, "Hey, gut bacteria is real cool." He won a Nobel Prize for something else. I can't remember what he won his Nobel Prize for, and then he went on to do his studies in all this bacteria. It's that stuff. that was from 1908, and it just stopped there for 100 years. Everyone was like, nah, bacteria is whatever. Like, they had a couple of wars to fight, and they didn't progress it. And now they're going 2005, they kicked it off, probably a little bit earlier, and they're like, ooh, there's some, let's go and map the human gastrointestinal tract.
Yeah. So how do we filter through the bullshit so that we can pass on actual information to people? Because you've got, like, obviously you haven't studied this forever. You've read a whole bunch of research papers, which most of the boys aren't going to read, right? So we're halfway through cutting through the fat so that we can just filter out some good stuff. But then we come forward like with social media and go, boys, go and get some good probiotics. And then they go to the supermarket, and realistically, they're going to get kombucha and stuff that's 99% sugar with some dead strains of some fucking bacteria that you don't even need. So how do we get good ones?
The idea is that they have got stuff that they've isolated, that they've proven do good stuff. Like, without name dropping, I think companies need to have a fair bit of money they would have done background checks, right? But I wouldn't trust companies selling a product. I think that's where Swiss Aid comes from, a base being a charity. And boys, already we have cut through because people trust us because we're trying to help people. I think if we come from that, then we are literally presenting the research, suggesting, but not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but so from my mind, like, if you've done a bunch of research and you're like, these are the bacteria you need to get, and best way to go is to go, how do people make this shit at home? Because then you're not worried. Like, if there's a way, I mean, I guess this is the way I try and look at everything, right? If there's a buzzword or a name that you can put on something that sells stuff really well, then people do it genuinely at the start. Like, grassroots companies pop up and they're trying to make kombucha and they're trying to make healthy foods, and then they either get really big, or someone big like Coke comes along and buys them out, and then Coke's like, well, not Coke, but big drink companies like, we need to increase profit margin, so we need to manufacture this shit at 5 million bottles at a time, and it needs to sit in a warehouse in the sun for 6 months before it goes across to the other side of the planet, and then we're going to stick it in a fridge. And we're like, is this bacteria staying alive this whole time, or is it alive when they bottle it and then it's dead now? And I'm like,
yeah, and that's the thing about the strains you're getting, and the chain of custody, or the chain that they can, if a company can prove from end to end, as short as you can, that the strains are still alive. Like, I did it the other day with that. We put a post up about that film drawn milk, or whatever it is, the Swedish Viking milk. Film milk, whatever it is. So the first
days are why.
Thanks.
I'm from Sweden.
That's for
I've got no idea, mate. But it sounds pretty bloody Viking, mate, when you say yolk.
Well, the first one I got, I drank it, and it was fizzy,
like tingly.
Right?
And
tingles, and that's
yeah.
And it says it's supposed to do that, and I was like, "This is amazing." It's got 15 of the. It's pretty much got 15 of the 12. It's got 12 of the 15 bacteria strains that I've been researching for the last 3 months in it already, and the first one was good to go, and I went and bought a second bottle about a week ago, flat as a tack. So is the efficacy still there? Like, or
nah, Jono packing shelves at Woolworths, left that one out in the sun for a week, and he's like, yeah, I'll just chuck it on the shelf anyway. Yeah. And that's the same shit. Like, when you open that stuff and 4 days later you get it back out of the fridge and it's exposed to oxygen, there's no more tingliness. So it's dead, and you're just drinking milk.
Yeah, you got to find it. How long the bacteria lasts. What's its food while it's sitting there? Has it consumed all the stuff? So, like, beer it's like little yeast, and it poos out alcohol. That's how beer's made, isn't it? They put yeast in.
Poos?
It eats sugar, and then it poos out alcohol. Done. that is beer. Not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure that somebody get sugar, get yeast, put it in,
put them together,
put it in a dark spot, and then it eats sugar, poos out alcohol. And we want it to the bacteria we do, the stuff that it gets rid of, So lactus plantarum from sauerkraut survives at room temperature. When it sits in your colon and breaks down, the byproduct it makes is small chain fatty acids, and those small chain fatty acids, what it burns is stuff for your memory, your fuel for your brain. That's the first place your brain goes to get short chain fatty acids, and it's phenomenal, the stuff. It's like we could do a series of podcasts just on bacteria. Like, I don't know how to get this out there.
Well, I mean, this is the sales pitch from Swiss Aid anyway, not to our people, but to governments and companies. Like the reason you're researching a lot of this stuff, like we all came into this with a base knowledge of some of the nutritional benefits of different foods, but the reason you're going deep into this is so we can put together a physical training manual, i.e. that TMP, to start to train people on why different types of fitness are good for you, are good for your mental health, why different foods are good for you mental health, blah, 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 all the way down the line with the 8. Like that is the point of what we're doing now. So, I mean, that's gold. But like with the food stuff, I just full circle back real quick. So the current 99.999% of the people on the planet, when they think I've got to fix my diet, they go to macros. Like coming back to the mice real quick with the fat guts and the non-fat guts, eating the same food, give one of them gut bacteria from an obese rat and it eats the same food as the other rat and it gets fat. No change in macros. They're both eating the same stuff.
Correct. So mate, it's been evident in cultures across the world between what the fuck they're eating. Some cultures so we're talking about ancestral diets, not paleo specific, but whether they're from there's tribes in PNG that eat sweet potato. Like predominantly 97% of their diet is sweet potato, with some they're pig herders and they eat a little bit of pig. Or there's tribes in Africa that eat predominantly just goat's blood, or whatever they're herders, right? It's blood, meat, and pretty much all meat, no carbs. It's where you're getting it from. It's the quality of it, but it's the gut bacteria. So we're in a world where we use antibacterial stuff from birth. C-sections are a massive thing, and up until recently, I don't know when they started taking swabs of the vaginal canal and wiping it and starting the microbiome of the baby that come out. But I couldn't imagine it was still fairly recently, last 10 years or something. And then they talk about kids going and playing in the dirt, literally going outside, playing in the dirt at a young age, getting a diversified gut microbiota. And then that carries them through. And as we age and as we get older, or through our diet and lifestyle, we start to have this massive varied diet of it's refrigeration that really fucked us, because the reason why they pickled stuff back 200 years ago is they didn't have refrigeration. So they had pickled everything, and everything was dried: salamis, cheeses, pickles, fermenting, and it was all just prebiotics for bacteria, the good stuff. And then we got refrigerators, and they're like, nah, you just eat it and put it in the fridge. Fresh vegetables, fresh fruit. And our gut microbiota, the species in our stomach is what I'm talking about. The different species get less and less because we're one-track dieters. Like we all have our go-to meal that we eat 5 days out of the week if we're, the mind-numbing. And so we get to this point where your microbiota's gone. And some of those good strains are the ones that stop you from literally stop you getting obese from diet. They're strains of bacteria that will stop you becoming fat from a poor diet.
And then
you got
go. Sorry, I'm chopping.
And you got these people that sit at home and they're like, oh, I just need to count my macros and I need to know calorie in, calorie out. You're like, yeah, That's all depressing and works on a different side of the whole thing. But if your gut flora is not there to break down particular foods, or if it's not there to help you to get nutrition from some of them, you're going to overeat or feel full longer. So many different things we can do. And once we get it's starting to really annoy me because the new normal, let's use the COVID phrase, the new normal. When people don't smash piss and they sleep well, they're like, I feel amazing. Like, no, you don't feel amazing. That's normal. That's how you're supposed to feel.
you feel baseline.
You feel baseline. If it feels amazing, your body has adapted to being terrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's we won't. I don't think we're going to sleep today. But that's the stuff that I've been looking into deeply, and that is one of the first things that people bring up when they're researching sleep. They're like, you takes you about a week or 2 weeks, and then whatever you're at, that becomes normal. And you used to know this. Like when you go out bush, you only get 4 to 6 hours sleep a night, if that. After a couple of days, you're not tired. Like you're just like, I am like that. I'm. This is normal again. And you're like, and if you get no sleep one night, you're like, I feel fucked. Then you get 4 the next night, you're like, oh, I'm good again. Like, no, you're not good. You're back to that shitty normal that you thought was good.
So like drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes, the human body is this amazing thing to adjust and to adapt. First time you tried smoking, you're like, you coughing your guts up like a 12-year-old back around the sheds, and then you like, no, I'm going to train my body to ingest this poison. So like drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes, the human body is this amazing thing to adjust and to adapt. First time you tried smoking, you're like, you coughing your guts up like a 12-year-old back around the sheds, and then you like, no, I'm going to train my body to ingest this poison.
I have to like this because I'm cool.
Yeah.
But mate, sticking on the macros thing real quick, and I'm Hesse is going to kill me because he loves tracking macros, and I keep pulling him up on it, and he's going to think we did this podcast just to rag on macros. But the gut bacteria stuff, people need to be paying like that. If you want a pyramid, like what you need to focus on the most, everyone always starts with macros at the bottom, then micros, and then gut bacteria. If it comes into it, that's random. It's not a lot of people who even consider it at the moment. But if you're saying like you kill your healthy gut bacteria and your body won't be able to regulate obesity or fat properly, the most common way or the quickest way to kill all your gut bacteria is to overdose in processed sugars or refined carbohydrates and sugars, right? So you're getting 30 to 40% of the Western world right now that's clinically obese because they're smashing sugar in every meal, like processed carbs. We still stick to, our government still says the food pyramid, baseline, carbohydrates. Fucking wake up yourself. But you're eating carbs in almost every meal of the day, most of them refined, and then you're snacking through the middle on biscuits and donuts and sugar and shit. So everything you're eating is just killing your gut bacteria. And then you get to the point where you're 50 kilos overweight and you're like, oh, I need to lose weight. You go to an expert who tells you monitor your macros. So they're saying keep eating carbs at every meal, but just eat less of them. And like they're missing the whole fucking point. Like if I'm not, I never want to go and say that calorie deficit is something you just want to data dump. Like, yes, if you're overweight, you should eat less food, 100%. Like that's fairly basic, but you need to stop eating all that shitty sugar, eating a lot more healthy gut bacteria, and then, natural foods, meats, vegetables, nuts, fats, whatever, but get your gut flora back to normal as a number one priority. That should be like common sense. Go to, I'm obese or I'm overweight, I want to get healthy again, sort your gut bacteria out first. Then, and to do that, you need to stop eating sugar. That by accident, you're going to lose a whole bunch of weight. But then you should, down the track, if you want to really, really fine tune like the 1%ers, then start to monitor macros in and out. Not your primary. Right. Yeah. That shouldn't be your go-to number one thing.
Because the thing is, it's the sugars that are bad bacteria. So processed sugars is what the bad bacteria. So it's whatever you're feeding in your stomach, right? So if you're feeding, you might still have colonies of good bacteria in there, but they never get to grow because their fuel source isn't in there. But all the bad bacteria that we have in our stomach, a lot of them use complex sugar, like the sugars, the simple sugar or whatever it is, as fuel. So then they just get out of control. They're like a weed garden. And then you're like, oh, I want to eat some healthy food. And they're like, well, you can eat a little bit of healthy food, but the colony's completely overgrown, whatever. So you've got to find a way of cutting them out of your diet. Then you get, what happens is when you have sauerkraut, you say take a teaspoon at the start because, you could get gas, and you could in the first couple of days to a week get gassy and bloated and go to the toilet a little bit more. And that's because it's called bacteria die-off, and it's bad bacteria die-off. So what'll happen is you're actually fueling all this good bacteria that's starving the other bacteria of food. It dies and it's going somewhere, and it's going out your bum. And then
The hell are we in our mid-30s and still laugh at bum jokes?
Yeah,
because they're funny, I guess.
Because they're
We're very
hilarious.
mature. Yeah, but that's good to know.
So here's
First few days are going to be.
So L fermentum. So this is a scientific study. And when I say L, these are all lactic acid bacteria, so LABs, but they just put an L in front of it so you don't have to say lactic blah, blah, blah. So it's L fermentum. There's the study in human beings that reduced belly fat by 3 to 4% over 6 weeks. And you can get that from sourdough. There's L. Amoflavorous. I don't know. Reduced belly fat by 3 to 4%. And that's found in piglets' intestines, also commonly in ours as well.
So sourdough, can we go? Sorry, can you put a marker in that or a pin in it so we can come back to it? Sourdough, is that? I mean, I put all bread into the same basket back in the day when I was like, all right, grains are cutting holes in my guts. Definitely processed ones. Can you talk about breads? I remember you brought this up the other day about like white flour being bleached and stuff. But sourdough, that's got back. Is it still got live bacteria in it if you baked it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll bang it up now but the problem with eating bread is what they do to it before you get it and how they process it to either preserve it or to get it. I don't know. Back in the day, everything white was good. So we had white sugar. How do we get white sugar? Oh, we're going to bleach it or whatever. Well, how are we going to get white flour? We've got to find a way of making brown flour white. Let's just get a way of getting that color out. So the sourdough, how they make it, and I think how they get the bubbles into it or whatever. It's fermented, and even after baking, I think there's still stuff left. They leave it ferment, like undercook it, let it just rise afterwards. But it's a prebiotic. It works as a prebiotic food.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, good to go. So, and again, I mean, it's the basic rule with any food. Like, if best foods to eat are ones that grow naturally on the planet, right? And then the next best after that are ones that the dude who made it, or you made it yourself. Like, if you're getting it from a big brand that came from a factory somewhere, there is no way you're going to know exactly everything they put in that. Because if there's some shit in there that they find out they don't want you to know about, guess what? They're not going to let you know about it. But if you're getting it from Johnny the Baker down the road, common dogfuck would say that is going to be healthier than the one that comes from the supermarket and a factory.
100%. I think it's that chain of custody of where your food's coming from and where your bacteria is coming from. If you think Metamucil, I was taking Metamucil the other day because it's got dietary fiber. Psyllium husk, super good for your stomach. It's a insoluble dietary fiber. Goes in at one end, goes out the other. Some bacteria use it as food, the beneficial bacteria. And I read on the side of the packet, I think you can get an organic one now. Like I saw it in the chemist the other day, but the original Metamucil tub has got aspartame in it. I was like, you can't win. You're trying to get a good gut bacteria, and then you're like, well, I'm going to get headaches, migraines, and cancer. Cool, that's great. Which one do I want?
Yeah. Well, you might have to mute out, Keegan. I'm getting like racing cars going up and down your street. Is that you?
Yeah, but we're on separate audio tracks, so we'll cut out.
Oh, good to go. I'll just shut the fuck up then. So bleaching your bread, no good. Bleaching your meat. There's a certain fast food chain that we won't name because we like doing podcasts more than just one. Bleached meat. Did you get to the bottom of that? Is it true or is it they don't?
So in Australia, they never did it, but in
Never
other
got caught
countries,
doing it, you mean?
in other countries, they stopped doing it.
Ah,
washing their meat in bleach. Yep, and that's how. By the time you get it, and it's what we're ingesting too. So soaps, hand sanitizers, everything you're putting in and around your mouth, your bacteria in your mouth, mouthwash. So antibacterial mouthwash every night.
Yeah. So I would have to. I mean, I haven't Googled enough into this as far as dates go, but we hit a time where scientists were pumping out papers, or medical researchers were pumping out papers going, this bacteria is causing X, Y, Z. And so bacteria itself got a brand rep as the bad boy. Like, you don't want to go near it. It's bad for you. No one was preaching the fact that there is some that's good for you, some that's bad for you. So all bacteria were grouped into the one basket going, they cause X, Y, Z problems. So let's kill them all. And so you started like back in our day, disinfectant hand wash and disinfectant soap. I don't think it was a thing when I was a kid. Like,
no, it's just soap and
I washed my hands if I got made to, but that was kind of it. And the soap was not antibacterial. And now everything is. Like, you got to clean your benches with antibacterials. You got to clean your hands. Like, it's just killing all the good stuff. And that's got to be half of the problem. Like, after Corona, mate, good fucking luck if the spike in people getting sick doesn't go through the roof because we've just killed every bit of bacteria in our body.
It's going to go ballistic. And one of the arguments is that there is a bacteria strain that has been proven. They've done the research papers on it, and it has proven to help or prevent influenza type B from having gut bacteria. And we're getting rid of all this gut bacteria out of the body. We don't even know. Like, this isn't fringe science. This is just early on. Like, they said so pre-2005, when they did these peer review studies and they get journals that they'd have to review, they might get from the world 5 a month coming in. And then from 2005 onwards, they started getting sort of 1,000 coming in every month. And now it's just phenomenal. Like, people are just really looking at our microbiome as the first step to human health. And that is exactly what it is. That your immune system comes from your stomach. What's the happy drug we make? Serotonin.
Serotonin, yeah. Doesn't
get made in your brain, gets made in your stomach. 90% of the serotonin you make in your body comes from your stomach, not from your brain. And how it communicates.
For anyone looking for a penny dropper, that's where you eat shit food all weekend, smash piss on the weekend. You're going to be pretty depressed on Monday.
Going to be depressed.
Mix that with a bit of lack of sleep, but, mate, it's what you put in your guts.
And that's what, I mean, it communicates with the gut-brain axis. It communicates through the, like, vagus nerve, through all different, like and it's in constant communication. The second largest is a cluster of neurons outside of our brains in our stomach. And it is literally communicating the whole time. We spoke about on Cobes' podcast about the sympathetic, parasympathetic, and how they work together. And you can do the same thing by eating. You can put yourself into those particular states. And by doing this, we're going to actually start being able to teach people, don't smash piss, don't kill off your gut bacteria. Even as much as they're saying fitness, if you go for a walk or a run, it changes the diversity of your gut bacteria. So there's particular gut bacteria that will grow more, the beneficial stuff. So we're saying now if you run, you get positive gut bacteria, like good stuff. You're eating right, your gut. Why are we doing it? Like, why are we getting those health benefits? And then one of the other ones is sleeping. Everyone talks about the circadian rhythm. as in there's one clock in your body, and there's not. There's multiple. There's circadian rhythms, and it is it's endogenic. I think that's for it doesn't need, like, it's a 24-hour clock, and it will run no matter what. If you're in a dark room, it will tick over anyway. It'll go out of time. And what happened is, over the years, it does get its sensory information from our visual senses, our eyes. So our body clock for our sleep wake cycle is one circadian rhythm, and it adjusts by light. That's why they say don't do blue light before bed. Wake up in the morning, you see the sun, you feel like you're awake. It's designed to adjust to its environment so that as we're going through, we can adjust to the sun rising and going down every morning. The same thing is that our gut microbiomes, the bacteria, have a circadian rhythm as well. And if you eat at the wrong time, so shift workers, eating 2 hours before going to bed knocks your circadian rhythm of your digestive system out, like nearly instantly. If you go, and that's one of the first things we do, we get on the piss, we're soaking our body in alcohol, we don't sleep, and then we go and have a big bloody hamburger, cheeky kebab on the way home at 2 a.m, and then you don't wake up till bloody 2 o'clock in the arvo. You don't drink.
And then you hate yourself on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday the next week, and you don't join the dots, and you're like, oh, I must just be having sad thoughts. No, you just destroyed all your gut flora over the weekend.
And then your body resets to the new normal. Like, you hear about people saying, I was depressed for years, I just didn't know it, until they got happy. They're like, oh, it's just the new normal. If I hear the new normal one more time, I'm probably going to kill someone.
Good to go. What's the key takeaways? Oh, mate, actually, yeah, no. What is it? Key takeaways is probably not a bad question. I just got excited because I saw this gut test that I've got to unwrap in a minute. Let's see what's in there.
Yeah.
Came from the States.
Where have you got to send it back?
All right. Oh, I've got to poo in a jar first, mate. We'll get to that in a minute.
You're going to do that online?
Well, I was going to do it. I'll unbox it, and we'll just record it here. And then when I actually go to use it, I'll have to wait till the morning, mate, when I do big coffee poos. But I'll go through like the process of it. Obviously not the sample extraction, but the basics of it. It's pretty simple, man. You just get a little swab, chuck it in a jar. From what I've seen on their website, like, it's a good brand. We'll go through it in 2 seconds. But so what about the boys? Like, to be realistic, all right? You say to the boys and girls, smash and piss kills your gut flora, makes you unhappy. Don't do it. Everyone's going to be like, yeah, good advice, man. I'm going to stick to that for about 1 weekend. Whatever. So what do? You go out and you smash too much piss over the weekend. Is the process after that to try and recover by Sunday hangovers, fill yourself with probiotics? Is there a protocol?
There's stuff. So before that, so one of the big ones is, like, they've done studies saying that red wine, a glass of red wine at nighttime, can actually be beneficial to your gut bacteria. Some beer, like if you have a beer or two, can be beneficial to your gut bacteria because you're putting some yeasts in there. But then you go out and you just literally, like, tequila, it's the increased level of alcohol or ethanol. We're going like over 60% alcohol. You're like, your gut, you'll destroy it. And I think it's continually doing it. Like, when we binge drink or do 3 or 4 days of a week every week for years, going out one night and having a bender on your birthday, once a year or once every couple of months, your gut bacteria will survive. It's doing it consistently. Bad habits, unhealthy. But how do we recover afterwards when we're super hungover, when we hate the world? Because we're either going to do big after grog, going to the toilet, or we're going to be throwing up the whole contents of our stomach, right? So if there were protocols you could do, it would be if you can take it, I would say start repopulating with some probiotics. So start off with the simple stuff, the dairy, and cabbage, sauerkraut. That I'd start there. Try and get that back in your body as probably the biggest one to start with. Get the prebiotics back into your stomach and your intestines, so that the bacteria that's in there can keep feeding.
So you're gonna, like, everyone gets hungover and eats shitty food all day. So the idea is, if you know you're going out on a bender, set yourself up for good recovery by prebiotic food. Go and get sourdough.
So the problem is, so hot dogs. You can do a German hot dog, which is sauerkraut, bratwurst. Bratwurst full of bacteria as well, beneficial bacteria.
Proper bratwurst, not the ones you get from Aldi that's been on the boat coming over for 45 months. That just tastes like preservatives, mate.
Yeah. Your local delis are good places to go and look at some of your local. We've got a Skinny's diner in Townsville, Skinny's Deli, and they have all the like legit bratwursts hanging, all their salamis. But there's stuff you can do.
I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure about salami. So original back in the day, salting meat, hanging up, air dried, whatever. That concept, sick. Century passes, and they're like, all right, it's 2020. People just want salami. They're not looking at it going, I like it because it's the way it's preserved and it's all natural. They're like, oh, I just like salami. So then companies like Primo, and they go, oh, people want salami, so let's just take some meat, jam it full of preservatives, stick it in a big fridge for a couple of months or whatever it is, and it's full of chemicals. Like that's not healthy, dried, ancient European preserved meat. That's a bit of pig with some poison that tastes like salami. Like that's, again, like it's about trying to, it's chain of custody of your food, finding it. Like there's Italian dudes in Sydney. There's probably a few different European backgrounded like families that have got family meat hanging businesses, and they are all, well, they say preservative free. You'd hope so, but you can taste the difference. Like you get it, and it's like that tastes like food. That doesn't taste like that shit that comes out of a packet that's 50% plastic.
Yeah, 100%, and that goes in with like the salamis you eat out. Actually, talking about going out field, antibiotics that everyone takes for months on end. Go on a Tully, you're taking doxycycline. That is a broad spectrum antibiotic. Broad spectrum means it kills everything. Right? If you go to Timor, and you go there for 6 months, you're on doxy for 6 months. People are like, what? Yeah, it's an anti-malarial drug. Kills everything. And they're starting to link poor gut flora and particular strains and poor gut microbiota to actual PTSD and the likelihood of developing it. And then on the other side of that, like where was the metric? Why do some people get PTSD and some people don't? Or some people just deep down sociopaths, or what was the metric, and why was the field so varied? And so they're starting to look at, your childhood, the stuff that we started looking at, like what was predisposition in these people, social isolation, all these things are part of that as well. But they're looking at your gut flora, because that can literally turn around your mental health directly. You can directly affect your mental health in a positive way with positive gut flora. So guys sitting in the army going to Timor for 6 months or wherever they're going, they are literally just spraying bloody Roundup on their guts for 6 months, coming back and going, I don't know why you're upset. You're a bit sad.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Eat double doxy. Eat a doxy every day, and then every night we'll just spray some fogging in your tent. It'll be good for you. And then go to the mess in Timor. It's like this food came from packets from a 20-hour flight away. Like and then it sat in a shipping container for a month before you cooked it or reheated it. Like 100%, mate. You come back from 6 months over there and you've got a weed garden in your guts.
Yep.
Definitely.
I got hospitalised after Tully for 2 weeks with a gut infection. So,
Yeah, mate.
And I haven't been the same since, and I've had crazy skin issues, like rashes all over my body. I get literally once a week, and no doctor ever listened to me. I was like, I think it's my gut health. And then now it's to be like, yeah, it's your gut health. You got bad gut health. That's why you're getting all these rashes. And it's from those broad spectrum antibiotics that screwed me up, I reckon.
Mate, I had a little. I'm not like so. This is why I really got into it. I sort of had a look, started taking them, and I had a bit of eczema on my stomach and on the top of my ass crack, right at the top, and I could never get rid of it. Steroid creams, everything. I'm like, no shit, mate. I started taking these prebiotics and probiotics, and within 2 weeks, it's both gone. And I haven't changed anything else. I train and exercise as much as I've done everything. I'm sleeping better doing the 8-week challenge, but I don't think sleep in its own can get rid of it. And that's why I was like, man, and one of the positive effects of one of the strains that we can list and go through with people has actually got one of their beneficial things is clearing up skin problems.
Yeah, most skin problems that people have are autoimmune problems, and your immune system is your guts. So if you've got nothing but bad bacteria or dead bacteria in your guts, your skin breaks out. Like I get the same thing. Either on my face, there's nothing there now, thankfully. I used to get the same one when I was in the army, right at the top of your ass. I used to think it was just from getting sweaty, like sweat dripping down my back, sits there for a bit, go for a run, and then I was like, I haven't been out bush in 3 months and it's still there. I'm like, I've been eating really, really shitty food. And it is, like when you said it's not just about sleep, like obviously we do this thing holistically for a reason, but gut bacteria looking forward is got to be up there with number one or at least one of the top 2 priorities.
Yeah.
Good gut health and sleep. I brought this up this is out of this book. I keep forgetting, I think it's Why We Sleep. The dude was like, priorities, and this is just touching on sleep real quick. He's like, we always turn to fitness. I was talking to Coach about this the other day. Like, I'm feeling unhealthy. What am I going to do? I'm going to change nothing, but I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to start training. And he's like, sleep, food, and fitness. Which one is most important? And he's like, don't do all of them for a week and see what happens. And it's like, you don't eat and you don't. If you don't eat and you don't train for a week, you're going to be all right. Like, you'll be pretty hungry. Don't sleep for a week and you're proper fucked. But I think with gut bacteria, as far as like how you feel, as soon as you start eating probiotics, it's almost probably 2 days for me. 2 days later, and I'm starting to feel good again. Eat shitty food. Like if I forget going out in the piss, if I eat shitty food for 2 days straight, or every meal for 1 day, I'm cooked, mate, for 3 days. Like, I need to recover.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway. Mate, you got any other zingers to drop before I unbox this thing?
Nah, I think we'll do a bit of an unboxing, mate. There's plenty of zingers in there, but...
Yeah, have you been writing this down? Okay, you're going to chop it up? We've got to chop up some hot topics for socials.
Yeah, mate, got a big list.
I'm not spruiking this yet because obviously I haven't used it, but it's called thriveinside.com. And all it is, it's from the States. Unfortunately, Australia's like pretty far behind. Anything medical, yet they still make you do it the 1940s model of going to a GP, then going and sitting in line at like a clinic to get your poo or your blood or your whatever tested, whereas in the States, a lot of these companies are starting to privatise it. But big thank you note. That's nice. They got an app, apparently, that's just a link to identify which kit's mine when I send it back. No, it's just an envelope to send it back in. And then there's these 2 things. Oh, yeah, fucking good at this. All right, let's just do it. All right, collect and send. It's pretty simple. It's sick packaging. So if nothing else. I mean, is that a warning sign if you're really good at marketing and packaging stuff? Is that a good way to hide it? The fact that you're
but fecal matter transplants, and have got proven results for efficacy. Outside of that, doing fecal tests is a good way of checking your microbiota. The other one that they can do, but you can do that is more intrusive, is getting a they scrape your mucosal layer or your membrane of your intestines, because there is certain bacteria that doesn't equate to what's in your poo as to what is in some of your intestines. But it's a good gauge of where you are. So what's the go with
this? This is super simple, man. So it's all follow the bouncing ball. Collect. I mean, it's on the front. You do a shit, get the toilet paper, and they give you like a double swabber. So you're not touching anything. You're just taking a wipe off your toilet paper and then stirring it in this thing.
And
then bin that, send that stuff away. It's all just labelled. And then it tells you to, 1 second. Oh, the packaging's sick. Then pre-labelled. I won't show you that stuff. It might have a name on it. Oh, it's just instructions on where to send it. Sample tags. Prepaid box. Send it back.
Then to America. Is it prepaid to America or prepaid?
Yeah. It's prepaid to Virginia Avenue, California. That's good to go. First class packaging. There's even a bio sample thing in there for customs, so customs people let it go, and then you download their app or go to the website, use your ID, and don't use mine. Actually, that's probably a bad idea. Someone's going to sneak on and check out what my poo looks like. That is super simple. And again, like
what are they saying?
From what I've heard, so the person who recommended this to me said the app that they got, the info they got back was your gut bacteria levels, what's in there, and then recommended pre-probiotics to get recommendations for what you should be eating more of, and in what quantities, so that you can get healthy gut bacteria growing. So again, like, I'm not promoting this shit until I just showed everyone what it was, just so we can kind of have a little think about it. I don't want to endorse it until I've actually got the results back and we can see that it's not just all fluff. But it was $180. That's fairly cheap for something that I didn't have to leave home to get done. Like, I just ordered it online, turns up, and the people who told me about it said that they were pretty impressed with the results and the info that came back. So we'll see. Next week, 2 weeks. I don't know how long it's going to take to get back, but it says 2 weeks. That might be American, so we'll give it 3, 4, and then we can talk about my poo sample in the next podcast.
I'm excited.
I'm also drinking this stuff, which I can't endorse yet, but one of the boys from Schwebsy's work, it's called Nano Water. It's got super micro bubbles in it. Just tastes like flat water, but apparently it's got 25 parts per million, way more oxygen than normal water. The placebo effect, when I drank the first one, placebo made me feel like Superman, and then today I drank it and I just feel like a normal person drinking water. But I guess if there's something exciting that makes you drink more water, it can't hurt you.
Whatever you can do to get more water, and I think that's a big one.
Yeah, 3 litres a day. I actually shot some videos yesterday. I got my $3 Kmart glass water bottles to fill up every morning. I've got 3 of them. They're a litre, so that I force myself to drink 3 litres of water a day.
Well, mate, that's why I'm almost. I don't want to come. I don't know how much we want to put in people's heads, so I don't come across. If anyone actually knows me, I'm definitely not crazy, and I'm definitely not a hippie. But I'm probably going to move away from probably drinking chlorinated water, like tap water. I just think we'll see how we go. Like the stuff they put in there is in there to stop diseases growing.
bacteria.
Or-
They put you put chlorine in your pool to kill everything.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, we should put it in drinking water too. Nope.
Why is the obesity levels going through the roof? There's other stuff we're talking about. They talk about nut seed oils and not like your cooking oils as well. When we talk about so 80 grams of nut seed oil works out calorie wise to be 730 calories, and that also it's a whole nother thing to open up. Doesn't include coconuts, doesn't include avocados, but we're talking like rice bran oils and peanut all the nut oils that we cook with, and there's some pretty crazy graphs of when they introduced nut seed oils and the level of obesity and how it's gone up as they've destroyed our gut microbiota, as we've increased chlorination, like chlorine into the drinking water, all these things, and their obesity levels going up. Some people just have a better microbiome than others, and some people, so your calorie deficits can be more efficient. But I just think you got an uphill battle.
Yeah, I think that's the tough one. Like nutrition and dietetics has always been a soft science, because what's science? Everyone's like, I only listen to science. Like, yeah, what's science 1 year is probably not going to be in the next 5 or 10, and you got to look at where it's coming from. But the default fallback is, what were they doing 100 years ago before, or 200 years ago, before fridges and before they started pumping chemicals into shit? What were they doing then? And why did we change? And if you look at it, you're like, there was no need to change. We should just be eating natural food like they were back then. You're good to go. Like, you can't really go wrong eating natural foods.
So my sister's just had a kid, right? And that, mum, when they're like, no, I'm breastfeeding, I can't drink alcohol, I can't do it because it's going to come through in the breast milk. But the same thing they pump into animals pre-slaughter. I thought they gave them, and this is a whole nother segment, but I thought because they start feeding them grain, and this could be it's a holistic, you got to look at it holistically. Before they put cows to slaughter, they start feeding them grain. Do they then get sick because the grain they're feeding them, or and then they have to give them antibiotics? A counter argument and a study I saw the other day was they're actually giving them antibiotics to destroy their gut flora to fatten them up before slaughter. So absolutely crazy, mate.
Yeah, right. Fuck. Yeah, there's a butcher. I forget it. I think is it Craig Cook? I think he's the one down here. That's like it's a slowly expanding chain. All they do is grass fed. Well, I would hope. Last time I went there, it was all grass fed natural meat. But then again, like as they get bigger and bigger and bigger, do they get compromised? Hopefully not. You can go to like local markets or go to local farms, get a whole cow, get it chopped up for you, chuck it in the freezer. But I think the best way, mate, we're going to have to, and this is taking a leaf straight out of Rogan's book, obviously stealing all these good ideas, we've got to start hunting. We've got to start going out and finding. There's mate, that property I think, did Steph put it on socials the other day? The one down near the Snowies?
The cabins?
Yeah. So I went down to Threadbow with Jonesy because he was down there for work, and I just went down there to do a bunch of stuff. On the way back, one of the boys we met down there that works for Threadbow Resort, he's an ex-cav, and I was like, mate, we've got to we're trying to find properties down here. What do you know? He's like, I own one. I got 250 acres out, like west, just northwest of Jindabyne. We went and checked it out. It's pretty run down, the property, but you're not going to go there. You're not going there looking for 5-star accommodation, but it was sick, mate. On the Snowy River, 250 acres, like just bush into the hills, deer everywhere. And so the wheels are in motion. We've got to start taking some boys down there to go shooting, get some proper free range meat, and then eat it with homemade sauerkraut.
Get some German sausage in you.
Yeah.
Sauerkraut. Mate, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I've only just taken the lid off it. but we'll just keep seeing how we go.
Sweet. Righto. I've got to wrap up anyway. I've got to get out of here. Is there anything else?
No, man, I think that's it.
So we're going to plan going forward. If anyone listens all the way to the end, hopefully people do. We're going to start doing these every week, yeah?
Yep.
While Corona's starting to open up, if we are going to keep doing them like this instead of all being in the same spot, the list of potential guests is about 20 long at the moment. So, we'll start bringing people on again as well if this one turns out all right.
There we go.
Good to go.